Hello everybody, my name is Alex and today I want to talk about what I think the essentials of a future Crash Bandicoot party game should look like, whether that would be under the name of Crash Bash or something else. So right now Crash Bash is quite the talking point in the community, especially since the purple crate was added in the latest CTR Nitrofield update, and obviously we've also had those rumours floating around about a PvP Crash game coming in the next few years. But in this video, I'm not really concerned about whether it will happen or whether I think a Crash Bash remake or such a game should happen, though I would urge caution with both of those things. Instead, I just want to talk simply about what I would like to see if a game was to happen, what my ideal Crash Bandicoot party game would be at this point. Before we go any further, I just want to very briefly mention what I really want to see from both Crash and Spyro in the coming years is brand new games, brand new successors to their trilogies. Although something like this might be nice in the future, what these games really need right now is successors to those trilogies. So the first question when talking about what do we want to see from a future Crash party game, I think it's got to be, would just a Crash Bash remake be enough like some people really want to see? I think basically for me, no. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that this game has a special place in people's memories and childhoods, and that is absolutely fantastic if you're one of those people. Those kind of games you remember so fondly are absolutely the best, but in my opinion, if Crash is to venture into the party game genre, it's going to need to be a much more in-depth experience than simply a one-to-one Crash Bash remake. I say this because party games are not a massively in thing right now compared to the likes of platformers and kart races. As an example, Mario Party 8 had sold just over 9 million copies as of December last year, compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which had sold almost 23 million. Now obviously it has to be said that Mario Kart 8 is the best selling game on Switch, and obviously Mario is a completely different beast in many ways to Crash, but you can see the general picture. Also, it's for me pretty obvious that a game like this from right at the beginning of the 2000s, it's gonna need a bit of work if it's to live up to the standards that we expect today. So whether under the Crash Bash title or not, it's quite clear that in my opinion, a new Crash party game would have to develop its gameplay and minigames quite a lot. But how exactly could they go about this, or how should they go about this? I have wrote a list of general ideas. So the first thing I'd say is that you don't necessarily have to get rid of everything Crash Bash. I mean, you could even keep the original story in there as playable if you wanted to for nostalgia. There's nothing wrong with that. It'd be a nice little add-on feature. And also, some of the Crash Bash minigames are actually pretty cool, but they would definitely need massively bolstering with fresh and creative games. The best way to develop the mini and party games stuff is, in my opinion, to go down the what works with friends. What's going to be fun if you get a load of friends around in your living room, or if you're playing online, what mini games is going to make that experience really fun. Now in my experience, a lot of this stuff is more complex than what we have seen in Crash Bash. A lot of the Crash Bash stuff is fun and would actually be fun to play against friends, but I think you really have to take some of these mini games and party games to the next level. So for example, one idea I had was Crash Mini Golf. Now, we've all played mini golf on video games before, but we'd actually love to do that, I think, and play that in a Crash setting with our favourite Crash characters. It would have to be 3D mini golf, but something like that would be fun, and we could perhaps, theme it on different Crash levels, theme it perhaps on different Crash games, and it could definitely be set in Von Clutcher's theme park from Tag Team Racing. So we could do that. But other things as well are Crash Bowling. Do you remember the Tag Team Racing bowling where you sort of were in the ball? That'd be immense to bring something like that back, to really develop that idea. I'm talking more developed ideas than the games we got in Crash Bash, basically. I'm talking about games that are steps above them, just to bolster the experience and to really make this game fun with friends. Though we can continue to go on about ideas like mini golf and bowling, things that we have seen before, what I think would be really important for a Crash party game to be successful and have longevity in the years to come would be completely original concepts, completely original games that we haven't seen before in other party games. Now that could be tough to do, but I honestly do think the studios behind Activision on this are more than capable of pulling out some really great games. So That's, I think, what I'd really need to see from this if it was to have longevity for me personally, because Mario Party 8, for example, a pretty solid game, actually used the Joy-Cons quite well, was quite fun, but it just didn't have any longevity. It didn't have the longevity like something like CTR Nitrofield had. So new Crash Bandicoot party game really would need to get creative if it was going to be successful and if it was going to keep players like myself engaged for a long period of time. As a side note for the mini/party games as well, I'd also like to see a lot of them go up to possibly having 8 players, so to design mini games that can support more players, and also to add a bit more of a team aspect. Maybe if you go online with a friend or something, maybe you could have a 2v2 situation or a 4v4. Obviously there's lots of combinations there, but I really do want these games to have a good focus on multiplayer and playing with friends and opponents across the world. So clearly the mini games are very important, but there are other ways and other things I'd like to see in this game, a couple of which I'll go over now. So the biggest one of the remaining 2 is regular content drops. I'm talking about the kind of seasonal drops we got in Crash Team Racing Nitrofield. Now, as we've seen from that game, this is a very, very good way of keeping the game alive and keeping it fresh. So maybe once a month we could get a big new game mode that's themed around a couple of new character roster additions. I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but that idea would be brilliant for this. I think that's a really good way of keeping things fresh and engaging. And the final thing I want to mention is you need to enhance the roster. I think Crash Bash had 8 characters, which just isn't enough. As we've seen in CTR Nitrofield, the fan base loves having a big variety to choose from, and I'm sure that if a Crash Party game like this did happen, that the developers would put a lot of characters in. So there are my thoughts on what a Crash Bash style party game should look like in the future. But what do you think? Should it actually be a 1-to-1 remake in your opinion? Or do you agree with me that such a game would need to be far more developed? Do let me know down in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed today and want to see more, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'm Alex and I'll see you in another video soon.